So next stage was to be chairman of Sotheby's Europe. What did you learn from that?
I loved my many years at Sotheby's. I spent, in fact, 16 years at Sotheby's, all in all, but the second time it was 11 years. And I just was able to witness the art market from the auction perspective and literally right across all the segments. I mean, there are something like 88 different collecting categories, and it just allowed me to have an insight in what was happening in the old master paintings world, what was happening in the decorative sides, in every aspect of the art world, and see it from the perspective of the sellers, after having seen it from the perspective of the buyer when I was curator of the Thyssen collection.
Do you think it's a pity that auction houses, including your own, have felt obliged to narrow down the areas of their sales? Once upon a time, as you say, there were 88 collecting areas. Now, for example, Sotheby's hardly sells in a lot of categories. It doesn't have sales in ceramics, except very rarely silver, because the values are not equal to the massive values being achieved in other areas. Does this in turn work to depress the market or the interest in these fields?
Well, I think that obviously businesses have to focus on what is profitable and what works well. At the same time, there will always be an outlet, always be a way to sell areas from even the less fashionable parts of the market and from the things that are maybe less in demand at any given moment. One element of that are economic considerations, but we at Philips de Pury & Company have decided to focus entirely on contemporary art, on design, on photography, and also on jewelry. And from the second on, we've decided to focus on these areas. We have been able to really develop and build a strong business.
Now, you're quite a risk taker, Simon. You had a very cozy and extremely prestigious job, I imagine quite well paid, at Sotheby's. You decided to throw that all out, become an art consultant. Then you took on the rebirth of Philips Auction House. Why did you think that you could bring up a third auction house to rival the two big ones?
First of all, I was approached to join that third auction house. I do think that there is a space for a company doing things differently, doing things in an innovative way, in a pioneering way. For instance, what we've done in contemporary art has changed the secondary market completely. Every season we choose certain specific artists that have never been sold at auction yet, and we introduce them to the secondary market. So over the last 4 years, we've introduced something like 50 to 80 artists that had never been sold before. The second we introduce them to the market, the other two houses are taking them on as well, and 3 months later, these artists then become part of what is being sold in the contemporary auctions.
And I just want to go back to an earlier phase. When you were an art consultant based in Geneva, you thought Geneva needed spicing up a little. Could you describe one of the things you did while you were there?
Well, some things I did on the side, I think, is what you might be referring to. With some friends, we created a foundation called the Geneva Art Foundation, and we've helped to sponsor exhibitions, the Heinz Bergrün collection, which was shown in Geneva at the Musée d'Art et d'Histoire, which was a magnificent exhibition, and sometime in the mid or late 80s. And we wanted just to animate cultural life in Geneva. But my activity as a consultant was Geneva-based, but it was totally international. We were able to offer the clients we were working with total discretion, which is something that anyone choosing to sell privately wishes and so often cannot get in the art world, which is the most gossipy environment that you can find. And when you are able to offer total confidentiality, that is a great asset. And being based in Geneva certainly helped towards that.
Yes, you do describe the Greenaway thing, because it was so wonderful. Greenaway.
Oh, Peter Greenaway. Peter Greenaway, the great movie maker and great artist, had done a project called Stairs. And so stairs were built all over the city of Geneva, and you would climb those stairs and then look through a tiny little hole, which was the same vision that a movie maker would have if he would focus on a scene. And so it really invited participation of everyone, because you could only fully appreciate those works when you were climbing up those stairs. And so for the 3 months that the project lasted, you saw the whole population climbing up and down those stairs. And it was a great event.